Hello, and welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 21 of Code Geass R2. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. So last we left off, Suzaku and Schneizel decided to betray the Emperor. Anya was revealed to be Marianne, sort of, and Lelouch and the Emperor have been sealed inside that mysterious room. So, frankly, I don't know what's going on. Everything is crazy beyond reckoning, and I feel like it's only going to get worse. Alright, so it just sort of occurred to me watching that opening, but I feel like maybe the reason Marianne was killed, quote-unquote killed, because she certainly doesn't seem dead now, is probably in relation to her having a Geass or something like that. Charles probably didn't want competition or something. Man, very, very crazy. But on the other hand, with the Black Knights, it seems like some people don't want to let Lelouch live, and Callan doesn't necessarily seem like she's going along with that. Ooh. So maybe Lelouch is not taking the right tack here at the Emperor, saying like, look, yes, I've lied to you and deceived you into coming in here and all that and trapping you, but tell me the truth about why you killed my mom. And, I don't expect we're gonna get a real answer. I don't expect we're gonna get, like, a conclusive answer, really. I feel like Charles is just gonna say something. Okay, so Lelouch is talking about masks and, the masks we wear. Does anyone truly know who another person is? I feel like this is, sort of a meta topic, because Lelouch has been ousted from the Black Knights, and that ousting was largely related to the fact that he was a Britannian prince who sort of hid his identity. So I'm wondering if he's having a sort of crisis of identity, like if his actions now are more spurred on by the fact that he was betrayed in addition to everything else. Okay, so we're learning a little bit more. It seems like this world of C, whatever that is, it's sort of like this collective unconsciousness that, everyone kind of shares on some level. And I guess it seems to me that the Emperor is trying to harness that for his own purposes, because it's a collective unconsciousness that everyone sort of shares, but it seems like he would want everyone to share it on a much deeper level. Ooh. So Marianne's saying to C2, everything would have been easy if you had just handed your code over to him, presumably meaning Lelouch, which also presumably means that C2 would die, or, become able to die, and Lelouch would in turn become immortal. That she didn't do that is kind of interesting, Especially because she's saying to Suzaku, like, hey, you and I are similar. We both want to die, but are unable for whatever reason. Oh, okay, so Marianne's just, like, barging right in. Like, she's clearly not alive, but, wow. So this is something. I don't know how Lelouch is gonna handle this, meeting his mom. His real mom and all that, like, cause I don't want to say it's a soul or a spirit or something, but, like, that's effectively what it is, right? So, I guess the Emperor is giving Lelouch his sad backstory. There was strife, the world was a messed up place. Essentially, Charles had the resolve to try and make a better world, but, that's kind of led to what everything's like now, so, whether or not it worked, it's kind of hard to say. And it seems like this resolve to make the world a better place is something that Lelouch shares, and perhaps not for the best. So interestingly, V2 has brought up the fact that Marianne is sort of changing Charles. And I guess they all sort of... Oh no. Okay, Marianne wasn't involved. It was V2 who did the murdering. And I guess the idea was that he wanted Charles to remain as he was. Wow, what a rat. Okay, so I guess this explains everything. The events we were shown initially with not only witnessing the assassination, that wasn't the truth of the matter. And I guess as her, quote-unquote dying act, Marianne transferred her soul into Anya and essentially just sort of hid out for a while. Wow. So I guess I kind of understand why Marianne wouldn't show her presence early on, but oh dear indeed. And I guess V2 is playing Charles this whole time. And interestingly, Charles knew about that, I guess, or at least he suspected. So I guess the question is, why didn't he do anything? Because that seems like a pretty serious transgression. And the idea is that Charles says it was necessary, but yeah, you do have to make hard choices, but that's a pretty hard choice to sacrifice one's own family. And I guess this is sort of like the aftermath of this string of events with, the cleanup of Tokyo and all that. At least Nina's suffering, that is kind of what she deserves after being so gung-ho about using the weapon, only for it to, be used. Man, it really does seem like things are just spiraling out of control utterly. And I guess now C2 is sort of confessing to her part in things. She more or less knew what was going on, but sort of deliberately kind of delayed things, keeping Lelouch alive and all that, which I can kind of understand why she would do such a thing, but I don't know. I guess I'm wondering exactly what her part is in all of this. Like, is she ultimately aligned with Charles or what? Ooh, that's interesting. So Charles was really complicit in the murder. You know, he rewrote Nunnally's memories and all that. Oh, so he rendered Nunnally blind. Oh man, that is something. Like, Charles says he did that to protect her, you know, if she started snooping into things she might notice inconsistencies and all that. But man, I don't think I could imagine making a choice like that. So it really seems like all of this was sort of planned out in advance by the Emperor and Marianne. Like, they were playing the long game in a way. And I guess, like, this is kind of confirmation that C2 is ultimately their enemy. You know, all of this has been done to draw C2 out, and Lelouch was merely incidental in all of this. Okay. It really seems like everyone's operating like 5 steps ahead, and I'm kind of getting lost in the dust here. So I guess the question is, you know, Suzaku, he was ready to kill the Emperor, but if the Emperor wants to create the world that Nunnally and Euphemia would wish for, then maybe Suzaku will just go along with them. So I guess at this point, I'm not sure what entirely is going on, because if V2 was at fault here and he is now dead, then Lelouch can't really be mad at Charles in the same way. And, you know, the Emperor's also saying, like, look, C2, I'll fulfill your wish and also create a better world. So it really seems like the sort of ideal compromise that everyone could want. But at the same time, this is also sort of enacting like an almost Evangelion-esque merging of souls and all that. So, okay. So I guess it's not so much like instrumentality, more so that it's like everything is united under Charles. You know, everyone's sort of merged together, but you know, everyone's equal, but one person's a little bit more equal, you know? Yeah, they're saying some interesting things about this sword that will slay God. You know, generally speaking, I feel like that's not a good idea. You know, you shouldn't want to kill God. I think Nietzsche said something like that, like, you know, we've killed him and that was a mistake. So, are Suzaku and Lelouch going to reconcile here? Because I feel like for there to be a plot, you know, they can't really just go along with all this. But at the same time, they have quite a few differences to get over. Alright. So that's interesting that Lelouch would claim, like, lying is okay. I mean, maybe that's an oversimplification, but, like, lying does have a purpose, and I suppose he's right. To create a world without lies is to effectively create a world of slaves, you know? Because if you don't even have the free will to lie, then, do you really have free will at all? Wow. So it's interesting that Marianne is, I don't know what you would call it. Not acting as the devil's advocate, but sort of saying, like, look, come on, go along with this, Lelouch and Suzaku. Like, you can be one with everyone who's died, you can see Euphemia again. You know, that's certainly something Suzaku would want, but, he doesn't seem swayed yet. And I guess Lelouch is sort of latched onto the salient point that, like, okay, yeah, even if you aren't dead, and you did what you did to protect Nunnally, you still abandoned the both of us. And, you know, fair point. This plan might have been for the greater good, but it really is small comfort to Lelouch and Nunnally. I mean, I keep bringing Nunnally up as though this is like a present tense thing, like she hasn't been vaporized, but personally, I don't think she is dead yet, you know? I mean, we did see bodies in body bags, so presumably there's a chance Nunnally would have left a corpse were she dead, but I don't know. I don't think that's the case. Ooh, so the Emperor has made, maybe not a mistake here, but he said, like, what can you do at this point? I feel like we're about to find out what he can do, and Charles isn't going to be too happy about it. Ooh. Okay. So is Lelouch going to use the Geass on the world of C? You know, the sum total unconsciousness of humanity? Because, to bend that to his will, that's something. That's a real big ask. Okay, so there we go. Suzaku's on Lelouch's side now. You know, to raise his sword like that, that's something. Ooh. Okay, so for Lelouch to have, like, the Geass symbol in his other eye, that's gotta be indicative of something, you know? And for this whole thing to just come crashing down, I guess that's pretty decisive, right? Like, the Emperor is defeated. You know, his plan, Marianne's plan, like, it's all over, right? Wow. So I guess, in the end, Lelouch is, causing the effective death of his mother and father, you know. I guess the interesting thing is that they all think C2 should disappear with them, but I guess this is sort of indicative that she wasn't really on their side if she's not being affected in the same way. Ooh. So that's something right there. Charles is saying that Lelouch's appeal to Nunnally's smile, you know, that being her only way of showing gratitude, that is fake, but, like, that's a big line, you know. If there's one thing Lelouch is very serious about, it would be Nunnally and her happiest, but, man, you know, this really makes me wonder if the Emperor actually does care about them at all. And now the Emperor is sort of giving a final warning that, like, hey, you better watch out for Schneisel. And I guess that's true. You know, if this truly is the end of the Emperor, then Schneisel's the other claimant to the throne. But, with the powers of, I guess, these two Geasses, I don't see how Lelouch could lose. Alright, so it seems like C2 is prepared to die, you know, insofar as she's always prepared to die, but I guess, ooh. I guess Suzaku is only willing to side with Lelouch for a little while. And you know, it is kind of telling that we're skipping ahead a month, because I feel like there are a couple unanswered questions, like how they got out of that place, what went down between Suzaku and Lelouch, and, you know, how the Emperor is giving an address now as per the newscast. So I guess all the assembled nobles are sort of asking the questions we're all thinking. Like, didn't the Emperor go missing? Where's Schneisel? You know, what's going on here? And, Those are a bunch of good questions. Oh, okay, so Lelouch is just sitting on the throne, revealing himself as the Emperor. The new Emperor now. Wow, this is going to be an unfortunate shock for the Black Knights. So I guess that's it then. He's declaring that not only is he still alive and all that, but that he is now the Emperor. I mean, I guess there is also the process of becoming coronated. Because, he's just sort of coming out with it. It's like, yeah, I killed Charles. I am now the Emperor. And it's not official by any means. And I guess it's understandable that some people are rather upset about things, but, okay, I guess Suzaku's decided to side with him ultimately. Well, that's gotta be a bit of a tough pill to swallow for, some of the other people. Ooh, Knight of Zero. Well played. Good title. But I guess the question is Suzaku siding with Lelouch of his own free will, or is this some effect of a Geass? I mean, I guess at this point, Lelouch is no longer above, just Geassing everyone, I feel like this runs into the same problem of creating a world without lies if you just Geass everyone to acknowledge you as Emperor. What's the point if it's, manufactured, And I guess, perhaps unsettlingly, this seems to be what Schneizel has expected or was waiting for. So, I guess it seems like that's the final conflict, brother against brother, presumably for the throne. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. See you, Space Cowboy.